It's the SDG podcast. We're here at the Podcasters. Say hello and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Els Tahura.
Hi, I'm Peter Lawrence.
And I'm Kyle Bacher. And today we're going to talk about how to get the most out of your IT department.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Because every company has an IT department.
They do.
Yeah, every
Forever.
company's IT department can make your life heavenly or miserable.
Right. And they're people. They're humans.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
So they're susceptible to all the things that humans are susceptible to.
The good and the bad. They might take a Snickers bar and do things faster. You never know.
Like having a desire to help someone, or maybe not having a desire to help someone based on how they're being treated by that person.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
And sometimes it's not even your fault. Like, you are in a department that has a history and you were not part of making that history.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guilt by association.
But you can be part of turning it around.
So let's talk about working with IT first. And
yes.
So in what capacity? We all know tech support. So we might
a little too much, Kyle.
Yeah. And I am tech support and I am IT. So
maybe we should call this podcast like How to Interact with Kyle.
Ooh.
Okay. Well, my philosophy is keep people working.
Right.
That's number one. If someone's stuck and they can't do their job, that's a problem. My other philosophy is that how your IT department cares for you is a reflection on how much your company cares about you.
Wow.
Okay.
So as the face of IT, I feel like that's a big responsibility. To show the people that, we love you, we care about you, we want you to have a good experience. So we're going to give you stuff that works and
that would be cool.
That you don't hate, that isn't causing problems.
Doesn't require percussive maintenance.
Exactly. So
my favorite technical term.
And then having my first tech support job was in 99. So it was in the last century. It was
It was before Y2K.
It was before Y2K. Yeah. That was fun. Yeah. Preparing for that time when nothing will happen for most people.
Well,
blocks.
But I mean, keep in mind that nothing happened because of all the things that happened leading up to it.
Right. We stopped it, fixed it,
right.
Fixed the 2-character date format and all that stuff.
And we've gone to other short-sighted formats in other places.
Yeah, they won't be using this in 10 years. Yeah, they will.
Yeah, they will.
But as far as tech support goes, be on both sides. My philosophy, being a customer of tech support, is these people listen to complaining and frustration all day long. And it's not that that's anybody's fault. It's
what podcasts are they listening to?
People are calling. Yeah, people are calling them when they're frustrated because their stuff's not working.
Right.
So when I call them, I try to make them laugh. I try to lighten the mood. I try to not be another negative interaction that they're going to have today.
I mean, most people, I can't believe that their first call to IT support is that they've prejudiced it with anger and frustration right away, right? I mean, sometimes when you can't print a document, you can be unhappy about that. But Well, okay, maybe the printing of the document is enough. That's enough. I've been mad at my
It's-
printer a lot.
It's not, I hate IT. Like,
Right.
IT doesn't really ever hear I hate IT. Um, when I would like come into an organization as a consultant to help them like build a new intranet or that kind of thing, and I would do interviews with the business, stuff like that, that's when I would hear I hate IT. But then there's always like, it's like why? And it's never fair, completely fair.
No.
It's usually like they had a bad experience and they're venting. And how
Sure.
much do you really hate something when you say you hate something? And yeah, but
If my printer couldn't hear me right now, I'd give you an earful.
but I hate this printer. I hate this copier. I hate like that is something like, yes, we all hate that printer.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, I mean, part of that comes down from large organizations and not having as much say into what hardware you get to access, right? Or what hardware you have at your fingertips. Like, I just need to fax this to so and so right now.
I don't doubt that every single IT department in the world doesn't want like awesome equipment.
The most trouble-free, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
or at least more
like-
budget.
If my budget's unlimited,
Right.
you're all getting new laptops, you're all getting better monitors, like everybody's getting, what they want or within reason, but they're all getting powerful stuff.
Right.
And, I like when I get equipment for people, it's like, how is this going to be in 4 years, 3 years?
I mean, that's another fun look at it, right? IT gets to buy things that completely are useless in 5 or 10 years, right? I mean,
Mhm.
just absolute doorstops in 10 years.
It used to be a lot worse.
Yeah, it used to be
Like,
the time was a lot shorter, right?
yeah, in 2 years, your system is slow. And it was the
Yes.
state of the art thing you bought. But all of a sudden, the applications got upgraded, and they got upgraded based on the systems of the day and what they could handle,
Right.
and then now they're chewing up all your resources.
Yeah.
And resources like, what is that, Moore's law? The curve is flattened a bit.
It
So
has definitely flattened, thankfully.
performance differential between then and now is a much smaller step. So we're going back to a kind of a dumb terminal, well, smart terminal, with everything being browser based and running on servers, and you're just painting pixels. And yeah, it's a smart terminal because it is doing some running on your computer, but a lot of it's running on the server. So you're just kind of tapping into all the big processing that happens, not happening locally. So that has that's, I think, let us use some of these systems a lot longer, and then how long should it last? I always thought laptops like 3 years. If you got 3 years out of them, you're doing okay.
That's
But
my
now-
vote.
Yeah.
That isn't always how it shakes out, but
That's
yeah.
not how it always works, but that's my vote.
If something dies in 2 years, I feel bad. Like, oh, we got, this is a bummer. We had a lemon. A PC that's over 4 years old, I feel good about. That was a good choice. You know, I've had PCs last 10 years, like personal ones, but you don't want to have a business user with a 10-year-old computer.
No.
Oh.
Because
Unless it's for testing, we have to make sure our application works on Netscape. Because for some reason we want to have that catch that teeny tiny sliver of people.
That's right. Those 4 people.
Netscape 4, like that was a big shift. Netscape 4 was a big change.
Right.
No, I think like it's my philosophy on computers is if it's faster than the user, it's fast enough.
Right.
Like everything happens right now, and you're not sitting there going, oh, when's this gonna finish? Things like that. There's some stuff like rendering 4K video is always gonna take time. But just general business use, like, your mouse isn't slow, your system isn't dragging.
Like, I always try to keep in mind that the scope of knowledge that is demanded of IT is just enormous. Like, just setting aside, okay, how many different types of laptops you need to have and support, but there's also the different software that different teams within your organization are running, and you might be asked to help troubleshoot that. And how do you work with different vendors to get replacement parts? And then you have the added fun with, if there happens to be something going on globally where we all work from home, then now we have to consider how portable all of this equipment is, and if it will work with, not our on-site network. And there's so much that is asked, that I think it's important, when you need you need help from your IT organization, to just, you have to give them patience, but you also have to give them as much specificity as you can, so that then, okay, they know how to, this is the street I'm on, this is where I need to dig a little further.
Right.
As opposed to, oh cool, something on your Mac is broken.
Right.
Like, where do you go with that?
That's the thing, is the problem as described is rarely the problem
Yes.
they're having.
Yes.
I can't
This
connect
is
to.
broken.
Yeah.
Our website is
print.
down.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean the website's down? Well, when I look at the page, it's all messed up. So you can get to the website, but yeah. So something happened with whatever technology we're using behind the scenes. Maybe a global theme that many pages are using was changed instead of the local version of it, or
Weird.
you didn't update your plugin or whatever.
Yeah, you
that ever
didn't pay
happen?
your design consultants and
Or you're like, we can't get to the website. Well, I can.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. DNS network issue. What, you can get to other websites.
Right.
Okay.
Which ones?
I can get to something you can't. We're on two different networks, different DNS settings. It's
Right.
probably DNS. And I can't. We can change your DNS server and see if that works, but
Sure.
it'll self-correct within like the next hour or two.
Yeah. It's now a good time to go to lunch, because if you go to lunch and you come back, it might just work when you get back.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the more information, the more specific information you can provide, like the actual error message that came up. Like, I don't
The
know how many
path about,
times,
okay,
like,
this is what I did.
Screenshotted it.
Yeah.
Did you try to reload the page? Like SharePoint's broken. Well, did you reload the page? Did you try refreshing? No. Well, can you try that? Oh, now it works. It's like sometimes things get stuck when you're
They
loading.
do.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, if you don't provide those details either up front, or you're not willing to provide them, then, when asked, basically what you're saying is, hi, IT, can you please just be my therapist? Because I'm angry and I want someone else to see my anger. Like, well, there
Right.
may be
Or,
people who are more professionally qualified for that
yeah,
type of
or
work.
I don't
Ooh,
know all the
psych degrees for your IT department.
I don't
Yes.
know or remember all the things that I need to
Yeah.
think about or try to get past this. I could have rebooted, that would have worked. I could have used a different browser, that could have worked. Or I could have just refreshed this one, or I could clear my cache, my cookies. I mean, there's a lot of different things you could try. But to remember those things, or one thing that happens is humans get stuck.
No.
Like, all of a sudden it's like, well, I can't do anything. I can't, like, this is too much. I can't think. I can't, like, especially with technology. And some people have a fear of trying things.
Yeah.
Like, well, I didn't want to mess anything up.
Right.
And it's like, if you can even possibly mess things up, maybe we haven't done our job. Yeah. Like
Well,
there's I tell people that many times. It's like there's nothing you can possibly do from your computer that will mess this up. So try anything. Feel free. And if you break it, we can fix it.
99.7% of the time. Sometimes you have to reinstall the whole operating system, but it'll be fixed.
Yeah. That's all. And then you're talking about the scope of things you have to know, like the things you have to support. Like this morning, like there's 3 cloud app problems. I don't want to name names. And Mac issues, PC issues, like all that's happening, and it's like not even noon yet.
Right.
And so I'm dealing with all those different technologies and different problems, and like, why is this happening on a Friday?
Oh, Friday IT problems are the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do none of these things that people turn in like work at all? Like, how is this possible? Yeah.
Kyle, it's funny, or you guys mentioned that not being in the office, and it reminds me of being in the office and having the internet go down or having the network go down. Your connection from the office to the rest of the world. And it's so maddening, scrambling, everything all at the same time. And sometimes you can do something about it, and sometimes you cannot.
Just the feeling, like the chemicals that get kicked out into your system that cause pain and suffering, the adrenaline, and
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
Right.
the bad feelings that make you do things. It's like, okay, I need to take action, like running around. I remember we had a
You need to
virus back
you
in,
need to appear to be taking action at least.
yeah, exactly. We had a virus back at my first tech job, and we had 2 different buildings, and we had a crew of guys that supported the one building. I supported the other one. I First time I experienced, and it was traveling over our network from system to system. And I could see which ones were dropping. I was running around unplugging network cables from the wall, like literally, like to get ahead of it. And I got ahead of it, and I warned the other guys, and they didn't get ahead of it. And it was the end of the day, and I'm like, well, they might call me to go help them. I went straight to the bar and started drinking. Well, now I can't drive. Like,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I warned you guys. I told you, and now you're going to.
I thought we were going to have sympathy for IT people.
I know.
This was 20 years ago, so I've grown since then. No, but that panic, you get like, this isn't working, and it's not working for everybody.
Right.
Our website is actually down, and restarting the process or the server, whatever, didn't fix it.
Right.
And then like there's stuff that you can't fix. There's stuff that's like out of your skill set. Like I don't know Linux and Apache and
come on
and AWS, and like there's all these things that I'm a PC guy. I can work on Macs. I can, I'm a SharePoint Office 365 guy, Microsoft, I've been doing that for years. But you throw open source, Linux, Unix, FreeBSD, like all that kind of stuff at me, and I'm like, or programming issues. So it's like, okay, who do I have? Who's tech support for tech support? Who am I escalating to?
That's
And
right.
how much am I gonna have to reward them or bribe them or, yeah. But that's the thing, if you expect the first person you talk to fix your problems, that might be like, that might cause you some pain and suffering. You might be disappointed that they can't just fix everything and fix it
Right.
right away. So,
So are there other things, Peter, I'm wondering, we talked about maybe ask good questions, maybe don't be awful and rude. What Kyle just said, which is, you might not get an answer immediately. It could take some research and a couple people
Right.
to help figure things out. Are there things that help kind of once you've, what I'll just call, done the right things to ask for help? How
Yep.
do you maintain that good relationship with IT? Or if you are the one doing some of the troubleshooting, what are things that people do to help you like them or be open to working with them again?
The things that I found to be most helpful when working with IT, especially in a corporate environment, is to let them know these are the things that I have tried to solve my problem. I have tried to reboot. I have tried changing my DNS. I have tried this other thing. I've troubleshot this problem as far as I can take it. And I'm not just calling you to say hi and throw my troubles over the phone. I'm just asking for some help, and I'm not expecting you to fix it right away either, because demanding or the squeaky wheel gets the grease. True, but sometimes IT might put thicker headphones on more often than, oh, there's that squeaky wheel I can kind of hear. Whoop.
the
No, I
Mhm.
don't
squeaky
hear it.
wheel gets the grease, but maybe it's not the really good grease.
Yes.
That's just it. Yeah, like every problem you're having is not a 5 alarm fire.
Right.
You got to be careful about when you raise that type of alarm.
Yeah.
I think that, like, being a good user of computers, like, my system is slow. I don't know what the deal is, and then you go over and you'll see every application
I only have 300
has
tabs open in my browser. I don't know why it's slow.
3 different browsers, 3 incognito sessions,
Yeah.
6,000 open tabs, and they're streaming, 4K video. Yeah, I just don't understand what you like. Your system has limitations,
Right.
and just because you're experiencing issues, like, doesn't mean you need a new computer, like, or a faster computer or more memory or whatever. It's
Right.
like, what you're doing, like, okay, you hooked up that gigantic camper to your Dodge Dart, a car that gets you to and from work just fine,
Right.
but it's not meant to tow that camper.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think, like, you know, trying to solve your own problems first is good. Like, rebooting a Windows machine usually
Usually
covers
clears, yeah, a
it.
multitude of sins. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
And
annoying, but you get to do
especially
it.
if it's Wednesday morning, because it updated Tuesday. Um, yeah, it's been telling you to restart for 3 days and you're not doing it. Like, um, but making a good attempt, like, if you ask me something and it's the first result in Google when I type your question in, I don't get mad about it, but I'm like, it would have been faster for them to do
To
that
Google it.
than to wait the 20 minutes for me to get back to them. But I also feel bad. No, I'm not mad, but I feel like, a sense of disappointment when someone spent an hour or two, um, with something that I could have told them how to fix in 10 seconds.
Right.
And it's like, don't sit there and live with your issues, and don't try to be too nice to me, or don't you worry about my schedule and my workload. Like, I will deal with that, but you're my job. Keeping you working is my job. I want you to call me. I want, like, if you're having an issue to where you're wondering if you should call me or not, I'd rather have you call me than sitting there and dealing with it.
That kind of brings up another point, Kyle, where I try to follow IT's request path that they've selected.
Yes.
That makes it work the best.
Yes.
If you want me to email you instead of Slack or call your cell phone and text you 20 times, then I'll start with the email because that's what you've asked for.
Right.
If I have to put in a
system,
if I have to put in a ticket, I will hate it. I will hate every single second of it, but I will do it because that's the best way to get a response.
Yeah. Fighting the ticketing system, like, is fine, but just not when you're having an issue. Like, afterwards, going in and saying to the management that, it takes me 15 minutes to fill out a ticket. I have to go through all these questions, all this stuff. It never helps me. It never fixes my issues. Giving good feedback is important. But if the rule of law is the ticketing system,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if your cube is right next to the tech guy,
hey,
great spot. You have
just so you know, I submitted this ticket. It's kind of urgent, but not super important. But it's in there. I followed your rules.
Or just talking to your computer. Why aren't you working? Why can't I get this to load? I don't know what's happening.
And then reverse psychology.
Dangerous passive aggressive road that could be going down.
Nice.
Every tech support person likes to be a hero.
Yeah.
Love to save the day. I
was going to say family tech support doesn't come with
family tech support. Like,
that's certainly not as strong a reward.
Large family and your tech support for your family, work your way out of that business.
Mm-hmm.
Not possible. Not possible.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get someone local. I can't do tech support for you. Your internet is so slow that my remote tools are not going to work, and I'm not driving 4 hours to, like, reboot your computer, and I can't really talk to you about it because you and I have a different relationship than me with my users. Like, we've got baggage. Like, yeah, I'm frustrated just right away. Like, there's other issues there. Yeah, get out of that business.
You're bringing the history with you, and again, sometimes when dealing with corporate IT, you're bringing that department's history with you, whether you know it or not, right?
Yeah.
And the smoother you can make the path, the better.
There's just certain things that really frustrate end users. Mm-hmm. And if they know something takes you literally 5 minutes to do, and you put a ticket in, and it's been a week,
right?
That's really frustrating. It's like, you couldn't find, in that whole time frame, you couldn't find 5 minutes to help me out. Which brings me to my other philosophy. If it takes me less than 15 minutes to do,
just do it.
I just drop everything and do it right away. The worst thing is to have a billion tiny things out there. The other thing that can happen to IT people is getting numb. And losing empathy because there's so many tickets, you can't possibly deal with all of them.
Right.
You're so overloaded. And then there's stuff that's been out there for so long, it's like you sort of lose the will to live. you get kind of numbed by it.
Well, yeah, it's nearly impossible for them to get to inbox 0, right? Where they
Yeah.
can't get to the bottom of the tickets
You're like,
ever.
oh, well, I'll do what I can, and then but that affects your performance, I think. I think it makes things a chore. And, pushing that rock up the hill every day where you don't feel like you're making decent progress and never getting ahead, like that's when you need more help. You need more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need more hands. You need more tools. You need, yeah.
And when they don't give it to you, like, well, we don't have the budget right now. And then it's like, well, then we need to set the expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to just know that I'm not going to get to everything. I'm going to prioritize these things. And you just have to like work that out and say, these are the nice to haves that are just going to wait. And then you tell that user like, that's going to take me 3 days. I don't have for you. I'm sorry.
Right.
The other thing is like the value of the request or the requester's time versus your time. So like an enhancement to a system. It'd be really cool if it did this because it would save me 5 minutes this year. So can you spend a week of your time to save me 5 minutes a year?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I say that like, that only takes you 5 minutes. It's going to take me a week to do that for you. Literally, I have to go in and re-architect this whole thing to make it do that.
I'm sorry for asking, Kyle. I've apologized so many times.
Yeah. But it's because people don't know how long things should take.
No.
They don't
No.
understand that.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is as a tech support person, I do not like user bashing at all. Some environments, are like that where it's almost the users are adversaries and just complaining about, oh, these people, oh, these users, it's a
Right.
stupid user issue. The problem is between the keyboard and the back of the chair.
Oh, come on. Those are all great acronyms.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all stuff we heard before. Because people are imperfect. The machinery is imperfect.
Yeah.
Like your perception, your distraction, all that stuff, your knowledge, your aptitude for things. Like everybody's different. And the person that's afraid of technology and has learned how to use the one thing that they need to do their job, and they can use the heck out of that. When you drop a rock in their pond and make a change, something like that, and they come to you with issues, it's like, yeah. And you're like, well, it's easy. All you got to do this other thing. It's like, you understand, like learning this one thing was really difficult for me. When I go home, I read books all night. I don't like build computers. I'm not on the internet. I'm not, I don't use technology a lot, but I need to do this for my job. So cut me some slack, dude. But I like,
and we should always cut user slack.
The question is, I don't care, like if the answer was right in front of your face and you didn't see it, or all you had to do was this, or, it doesn't matter. It's all, somebody needs help. Like they got to a point where they felt like they needed help. They got stuck.
Right.
And I need to get them unstuck.
And sometimes the things that are, what we would call like user error or problem between the hands and the keyboard is like, okay, they were able to get themselves into this problem though. So is there something about the flow of an application that is missing a check, or do we need to build in more security so everyone at the company can't go in and monkey with their registry? Like,
Right. Well, there's that trade-off. It's like if I take away everybody's admin rights to their machine, I'm going to get more calls.
Yes.
Because when they install something, or if I lock down certain things, the more you
If you
do that,
block
the more
Stack
calls you're gonna
Overflow.
generate, the more you're going to frustrate people. My philosophy is empower people as much as possible to solve their own problems.
Yeah.
You risk issues with that, people messing things up, stuff like, it's like I can fix it. Ideally, I've got things on hand. I've got loaner systems. I can get you something to get by on while I fix this. You created work for me that I wouldn't have to do if you didn't screw this up. Well, that's my job. My job is to fix things you screw up.
Right.
My job is to save you from yourself. Usability, user experience design, all that kind of stuff matters. It didn't matter enough for a long time. We didn't understand how much it mattered and how important it was.
We're certainly
IT,
facing history.
IT has changed.
Mhm.
It's now like we've learned that we're in the service to the business. Like we are in service to the end users. We're a service industry that needs to support the core business.
Right.
It's not, we're IT, we're gonna whip up cool things that we like and dump them on you.
What? That's what I do.
Yeah. But
But
the
I
whole
think,
philosophy has changed, which is good.
yeah. Yeah.
You learn from that. But I think that you can get, you can get into traps with stuff by how you set it up, creating issues for yourself. Like security is important. How much
Super important.
how much do you dump on your people
Hmm.
versus your ability to filter out bad things and like prevent stuff from happening?
Well, and like the inadvertent consequences of forcing someone to change their password all the time is that they come up with a simpler password because they're going to have to change it again. And lo and behold, studies have shown that they change it to a password that's very simple to change, that matches the pattern that people
That's
change.
easy to increment and
Yep, it's an incremental change. And
how many passwords end with the year?
right.
yeah.
Um, or it's just 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna
If yours not allowed, you're gonna have to figure out how to get around it. But
and that,
people will
I
spend
think that
time doing
brings up
that.
a really good point, is that they're like water. They will find every little crack, every little way they can get around something. If it's
Yes.
gonna make their life easier,
Right.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put it on a Post-it note under my keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
because I can't remember it.
Right.
For the life of me, I can't remember my password. And so it's going to go on this picture frame. It's going to go under
Right.
my desk on a sticky. But let me tell you this, your IT guy will find it.
But there again, then that's part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
That there are tools that are made to get rid of those sticky notes and keep them
Yeah.
keep them off the desk, and
Yeah.
those tools need to be provided at that point.
The more you can foolproof things,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's not a kind term, but
Right.
we know what it means. It means
Yeah.
that, you make it very difficult to screw up. That's ideal. Some stuff you have to, it becomes about education at that point. It becomes about
Right.
creating a culture of good users, a culture of good security, things like that. Like, oh, people know that there's never really any reason anybody should be sending you an HTML attachment ever. Like, who does that? The links, you got to check them in your email. You got to float and look at the link.
Yep.
And you know, if somebody's reaching out to you asking you to verify anything out of the blue, or your system's gonna be shut down the next day, like nothing is ever that urgent. It's it's like, okay, this stuff is all these red flags. Like you teach
Right.
people how to be aware of those red flags. You make your phishing and spam filtering and stuff like that as good as possible.
Yep.
You react to it, you check your quarantine, you do all these things. And that's all to like take the pressure off the person. Because when somebody clicks on something and gets a bug, they feel really bad about it. Like, so I want to let's avoid all those situations if we can.
Yeah, when somebody clicks a link and puts in their credentials, and that creates a 4-hour meeting opportunity for you to talk about all the things that you're going to do for security in the future. That's always been a fun one of mine. Like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to be answering a lot of questions here. All right, this is going to be fun.
I never want the first thing in that meeting to be, how did this happen?
Right.
That's a question I never want to hear. How did this happen?
How did this happen? Yeah. And
So,
the person asking it could be the one that made it happen.
yeah.
How did the computer let me do this to myself?
I think another thing people can do that I like when people do is not live with a problem.
Mm.
And when I did
Only had to
tech
replace the
support,
duct tape 3 times on this laptop in the last year. It's perfect.
when and you shouldn't make them live with the problem either, as
Right.
but some people will just live with things and let's work around it, and then you just happen to be there, like you're walking by, and or they're having a different issue, and then you learn about this thing they've been suffering with, and you're like, do you want me to fix this too? Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it's like, okay, you've probably lost about 10 hours of productivity in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
But I used to have an assistant at one point. So I was considered tier 2 tech support. So my buddy, tier 1, he like twice a day I had him walk the floor.
Really?
Go out and make yourself visible. Go be among the people. Because I want you out there so that they can flag you down.
Be a resource for somebody to raise their hand and
Yeah.
wave over.
I
Sure.
also want them to see that IT exists and that we're a friendly face, and get out there. And people will stop you and people will chat with you. You get to know people. You'll see what they're doing. It helps you to gain empathy, putting a face to the problem. Being a call center, because I worked in call centers before.
They
It's
sound fun.
your
Yeah, the greatest times.
voice on the phone. And if it's for a product that they paid good money for that's not working, that's a whole different ball game.
Right.
Like, when you're working for the same company, it's like you're both under the same like blanket of protection of
Sure.
being coworkers that need to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Working
You're gonna see them at the baseball game.
I don't even want to go into work in a call center. No.
Nope.
But there's one thing that sort of ties into just having that good relationship that I don't think we've touched on yet. But if there's something that I've been having an issue with and IT is able to help me fix it, no matter how big or small, but if it's a big impact to me, I will absolutely, fill out the survey or reach out to the manager
Oh,
of
yeah.
that IT department to say, this is something that happened. This was so great. And here's how it made my job easier. Because if that's something that, can get that can help get that person a raise, or to help get the IT get more of a budget so they can hopefully be less swamped. Like,
Sure.
you got to do that on when it feels right.
People like to hear good things about their people,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and people like to be recognized for what they've done. Like if they make a big, it sucks. You make a big splash, like you save the day, you do something heroic, and you never get like a pat on the head, or like that never comes. It's
It just means that ticket is closed.
yeah.
Right.
Well, that's their job to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not their job to do it at 8 o'clock at night.
Sure.
Yes.
And it's not, it's not their job to drop everything, to necessarily to drop everything to make time for you to fix something. It's really not a big deal. It's not gonna slow anybody down. It's just an annoyance. But they're like, yeah, I could fix this, and it might mean a lot to that person. But not everybody's gonna get it. Some people are really busy and they just forget things. So you can't be too hard on people for not giving you the recognition you
Yeah.
think you deserve.
Right. But again, it goes a long way. For the next time your ticket's top of the queue, people may actually
Definitely.
choose to call you and talk about your ticket and make it better, rather than say put it off to the side because this is going to be a 4-hour being yelled at by the person because their paper printed upside down for some reason or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Or why can't I have my servers now? Why are you not keeping 20 servers ready to go for whenever I make the request to ask for a server? And obviously that's changed more and more these days with virtualized servers, that it is more of a request that can be completed pretty quickly. But boy, back in the day, if you were asking for resources from a limited IT, it would be great if you followed all of the dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making their request easy for them to fill out, and just be like, yep, now I will make this happen and it will take me less time. So it'll be an easier process for everyone.
And I think understanding that not everything that goes wrong or everything bad that happens is IT's fault.
Yeah.
No. Capacitors sometimes just blow up for no reason.
Stuff happens. Like we're not the ones building that computer.
Right.
All of a sudden it just powers off, it just shuts down, or just reboots out of nowhere. It's like, well, yeah, sometimes memory goes bad, sometimes motherboards go bad,
Yep.
and hopefully we're getting great, awesome stuff, but sometimes you get a lemon, and sometimes you lose a ticket.
Yeah.
Stuff, we're humans, and you got to understand that we're not in control of everything. um, your computer dying, you know after it was new, it's 9 months old, and it just dies. Like, we didn't want that to happen. Nobody
Mm-mm.
Nope.
wanted that to happen. We didn't think that was going to happen. It's not like we're out to get you.
I really don't want to configure a new system, but here we are.
Yeah. And then like, there's I have in my head, there's okay, only so many attempts. Like, if there's kind of weird issues with the system and you keep fixing them, but stuff keeps happening, there's a point where it's like, we're just going to replace it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm just going to assume that there's something up with the system, and we're just going to get you a different one.
Windows in
Yeah.
your machine just don't agree about how things are done, and you get a new one.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
does happen.
So, one tip for dealing with like support that doesn't, or offshore support, that's not localized. You don't have a tech support person on site. or it's you're dealing with a company's tech support. If it's a big organization, don't expect the first person you talk to be able to solve your problem.
Mm.
You might be dealing with a flow chart reader whose job it is to know where to send this ticket.
Yeah, how to route it.
Sure.
Yeah. And then expect to maybe have to describe your issue more than once.
Right.
Yes.
You know,
Certainly dealt with my share of third-party IT,
yeah.
contracted IT, and it's always a little bit more challenging, a little bit more repetitious, but
Well, and if it's an offshore group that might be within, the company that you're working in, I would say also, if you can, try to be cognizant of what their hours are. So
Oh, yeah.
your 9 a.m. is not necessarily going to be their 9 a.m.
They never
so,
call before 5. They never call me back before 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So if I have an issue, like I need to be watching for that. I need to have my phone on me. I need to understand that I might be like, hell, I might be working on this problem like during dinner.
Yeah.
With them, because that's when their hours are.
Yeah.
Right.
And just like I don't want to get a problem at 3:30 on a Friday. I don't want to do that to somebody else too.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope this is helpful information.
I think so.
Yeah.
IT is friends, not food.
That's right.
Yeah. And it never hurts to like bring donuts,
No.
cookies. It never hurts to, do nice things. And
Random acts of kindness never hurt.
yeah, never hurts. Not bribes. It's just, we know your job is tough and we care about you. And we know that you're not necessarily in our core business,
Right.
getting all those accolades and attention, and like you're kind of this supporting role behind the scenes. You're not the person on stage. Like, throw us a bone.
Yeah, you're not on stage, but you're also controlling the curtain. So
Right.
I tell you, when you're like lone tech support, when you're the one desktop support guy on site, it's like adopt that person.
Yes.
Yeah, bring them to your team building stuff. Invite them to your happy hours, and
Nice.
yeah, that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
It was awesome. Like my first tech support job, like every department adopted me. So I got,
Oh,
hey, we're going to do this team building thing at the golf simulator. Yeah, I'll go to that. The next day, we're having this happy hour. Sure, I'll show up to that. It was kind of nice.
that's awesome.
All right, awesome. Well, with that, I think we'll wrap it up. That was the SDG podcast. Thanks for listening. If you want to get a hold of us, drop us an email at thepodcasters@solutiondesign.com. Until next time, say goodbye, everybody.